Dealing with negativity. There's a lot of uncomfortable, uncertain, and negative feelings going on out there. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about an area I have a lot of passion in, which is improving your mental thoughts and your mental landscape. When we first moved into our house that we live in right now, the front yard was covered in a grass called St. Augustine. And if you don't know what it is and you live in Texas, I'm surprised. But if you don't live in Texas, you might not know what it is. It's a really thick bladed grass, and I always I don't know, it just doesn't speak to me. I think it's kind of ugly. Coming from Arizona, the grass we had there comes in small patches, and they're called golf courses. Otherwise, it's just dirt. But that grass is called TIF 419, and it's really lush. And so to me, it's important for the grass to look like that. And so we were looking at our lawn, and I didn't like the fact that there was all of that St. Augustine everywhere. And so I started just getting rid of it. And St. Augustine's really long blades of grass. There's like the central chain and then these little offshoots. And so when you pull one, you end up pulling it for, it could be 10, 20 feet of this long string of grass. And so we pulled, we spent a lot of time for several weeks pulling that grass out, and it was really obnoxious. Then we went into shovels and scraping, and we did everything we could to get rid of the grass. And eventually our front lawn looked like it was in Arizona, completely dirt. And so our neighbors had to love it because, everybody's got their lawns and we have just dirt. Well, we did go get the TIF 419. We laid it down. We did all the work to get it level and make it look super nice. And fast forward 4 or 5 months. I'm loving it. It's a beautiful lawn. I'm out there mowing every day, super excited because I never got to mow grass growing up. And one day I looked down and I saw a string of St. Augustine, and I was shocked to see that. And so I got down on my hands and knees and I started just pulling the string, and I got all the way to the end of it, and it was something like 9 feet long. And I yanked it out and I was mad. So then I started looking around the whole lawn, and there was maybe 5 or 6 strings in different spots. And then right between my yard and my neighbor's yard, there was several strings reaching into my yard. And so at that point I realized I needed to put a barrier between our yards, otherwise our grasses were constantly going to be fighting with each other. I liked my neighbor, our grasses didn't like each other. So I spoke to him, I put in the barrier, and I blocked off that section so the grass couldn't come over. And then now 2 and 3 years later, I was still needing to go back and pull back out all of those pieces of St. Augustine because they're persistent. They just keep coming back. They're fighters. They're going to keep fighting through. So how does that connect to negativity? Sometimes you come to a point in your life where you realize that the landscape you've set for yourself is very negative, very uncomfortable, and you're just not feeling a lot of peace coming through. At that point, it's very urgent and imperative that you push the pause button. You go and you figure out the sources of all that negativity, and without anything more than just passion, you've got to scrape that away and get rid of it and replace it with something that's going to make you feel good. And go through the work. There's things you can do. You can join different groups. You can find a goal that will make you full of joy. You can find areas where you can do service, things that will feed your soul and help you to feel like you're going somewhere with your life. And just because you make those changes, it doesn't mean that negativity is going to be gone forever. Just like the St. Augustine, it's gonna start sprouting itself up again. And that's where the real work begins, of constantly seeing, oh, okay, that's negative. That's a thought that's taking me back to something I didn't like. And I've got to go pull it out. And the way I do that is I re-engage with my practices. I go do service. I reconnect with a friend. Finding ways to put positivity back in place of negativity. This is the way that you can curate your mental landscape and change the way you're feeling. With all of the outside world wanting to put negativity inside your mind, now's a great time to focus and protect the mental landscape that you have.